Yo guys, how's it going? 33 and a third RPM here, back today to bring you the album review that I've promised for at least, 2 months now. No other intro needed because we're just going to get straight to the point. Today we're talking about Green Day's newest release, Revolution Radio from 2016. So, this is a very interesting album. If you watched my last review, I talked about the trilogy and how the trilogy got really a mixed reception with Green Day fans. And when Green Day released it, they said, hey, we're going back to basics. We're going back to this 90s era sound. We're going to make this. And the general consensus from people was, yeah, this really doesn't sound like the 90s era Green Day. This album was them saying, you know what, we screwed up on the trilogy. We're going to come back. We're going to do something different. Let's see if you guys like it this time. And the reception I've seen from almost everybody, except for pretty much the Needle Drop, has been insanely positive for this album. I personally love this album. It's my favorite Green Day album, right after American Idiot. I think it just does a fantastic job of blending new Green Day and old Green Day sounds into something that's completely different while still maintaining elements of albums like American Idiot that made them so classic. So, what this album does great is it doesn't push any nostalgic factors on you or any unnecessary amounts of swearing like the trilogy did. Uno's just kind of for that reason. I thought Dose was really bad for that reason, and Trey kind of strayed away from it, but that album's just This album starts off with the acoustic ballad Somewhere Now, which almost sounds like it would fit right on Kerplunk, Green Day's second studio release. And it's just an awesome song that starts off really quietly with just, some guitar, just this acoustic guitar, and, these lines just, it's really Green Day reflected on their position after, Dookie. It's like a continuation of the spirit from Dookie with lines like all grown up and medicated. Billy Joe's talking about how he's completely drugged out, but he's still living in this crazy world, and that's a theme with this album. I'm not the first, I'm not the last to say it. 2016 was a crazy year for politics, and this album reflects them and this crazy atmosphere that we live in that's extremely hostile and their thoughts in this situation. We have the second song on here, Bang Bang, which is one of the singles. It was the first single, and this is just I'm just going to say it like that. That's an song. It's so good. The guitar riff hits you, just slams you back into the wall. It starts off with this a news report going on, sounds like there's been a robbery or something, or there's a highway robbery on number 6th Street or something. I don't even know, something like that. This is definitely a song with a lot of energy that when I went to see them, they opened with, and this was a great crowd pumper. I mean, everyone was going crazy for this one. It's definitely a highlight on this album. Next song here, Revolution Radio, is also a single. I like this song a lot. At first, it kind of grated on me because the vocals on the chorus sound a little high-pitched and whiny, especially for Billy Joe, but I really like this song. It's grown on me afterwards. I love the line, legalize the truth, which Mike shouts before the chorus goes out. Once again, these political themes that are tying this album together and making it the Revolution Radio. Say Goodbye is a 4th track on here, and there's only 12 tracks on here, but I like a majority of them, but there's 2 on here that I really am not a big fan of, and this is one of them. It sounds really washed out, and I think the drums are placed way too far front in the mix, and the guitars seem to have no life or actual energy like they do on songs like Bang Bang or later on here, Young Blood, Too Dumb to Die, Forever Now. A bunch of songs that have real solid guitar presence. Doesn't feel like it's felt here. I know there's a lot of effects put on the song that make it sound kind of washed out a little bit, especially at the beginning, but I'm not a fan of it. I think it's the worst moment on this album, honestly, but it doesn't take away from this still being a great album. You have track 5 on here, Outlaws. Outlaws is a very, very well put together. It's like a 5-minute long song. There's a couple long songs on here that harken back to American Idiots. There's even a 9-minute song on here that's reminded me very much of songs like Jesus of Suburbia and Homecoming. The song Outlaws is kind of Billy Joe reminiscing on when him and his friends were outlaws when they were teenagers, when they were, and he talks about robbing stores in here and spray painting graffiti everywhere and just being the general teenage stereotypical hoodlums. It could have easily fallen into this pit of being just pandering nostalgia for people that grew up with Green Day and listened to Dookie when it came out, but I don't think it does that at all, because I think he really sells the earnesty of singing about, really wishing that those times were still here and that he could still do that stuff. And it's just, the punk spirit never dies for these three guys, and that's definitely what this is talking about. We have last track on side A here. This is Bouncing Off the Walls, number 6. Originally, I was kind of on this song, but now I really like this song. Once again, like Bang Bang, it's just a punch of energy from the guitars, which really fit. I mean, Bouncing Off the Wall is the name of the song, so it really fits the mood with this one, similar to Bang Bang, like a gun. Like these, when the energy is required from the song titles, these bring it, which if you've watched my earlier reviews, it's something I really don't like, is when a song has a big fancy name and the song doesn't live up to it. Cough, cough. I don't know. Go watch my old reviews. I don't know where I was going with that. Good song. Good way to end out this side of the album. Definitely keeps the theme going. So, side 2 here, we have the third single from this album, which is Still Breathing. This is track 7. And this is, like I said, there was 2 months of this album I didn't like, 2 songs. First one is Say Goodbye. The second one is Still Breathing. Now, I definitely like Still Breathing a lot more than Say Goodbye. In fact, I wouldn't change, I will not change Still Breathing if it comes on shuffle, if I'm listening to this album, whereas with Say Goodbye, I'll totally skip it. But I think Still Breathing is a good song. It just doesn't fit into the atmosphere of Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio is an album, unlike Trey or 21st Century Breakdown, that doesn't have many slow moments. Yes, they do come, especially at the end, but on the first song, Somewhere Now, it only lasts for about 20 seconds, and then it jumps into this pulse-pounding, balls to the wall, full throttle, warp speed mentality until Still Breathing. And Still Breathing seems to be just kind of this break in the energy from this album. And if it was something like on Capture the Bottomland's fantastic album, The Balcony, a song like Hourglass, which is kind of that break that fully committed, instead of this loud garage rock tone, to being this acoustic song. I think if it was that, it would work, but instead this is just sounds like kind of a generic Green Day song. This is one of the songs you point to when you say all of their songs kind of sound the same. It's not an awful song, it's just not a great one on this album. Next song on here is Young Blood. I absolutely love this song. I love the punchy guitars and what sounds like a siren before the verses going in. Billy Joe just talking about falling for this girl who is just insane, who does all these bad things to him, and she's crazy and off the walls, but loves her anyway. Some pretty funny lines on here that I'll have to go look up and remember, because I haven't listened to this album in a while, but this song is definitely a standout on here. We also have Too Dumb to Die. This is another one of those songs, which is kind of Billy Joe harkening back to his earlier days. I think if you're a real fan of Green Day and you've listened to all this stuff, you will love this song. I love the lyrics on here where he talks about the first line he says is, "I was a high school atom bomb going off on the weekends, smoking dope and mowing lawns, and I hated all the new trends." And I love that mentality here of just not accepting what the mainstream gives you and being this crazy, this guy who just always wants more from life. He's trying to do bigger and better things, but at the same time, he's kind of this burnout kid. I really like the song. I really like the guitar solo in the third quarter of this song. It's a good song. I'll make that leap. Probably my favorite song on here is Too Dumb to Die. Troubled Times is track 10. Troubled Times is kind of an song for me. It kind of falls in the Still Breathing category for me. It just kind of sounds generic and bland. It's not, I said I only didn't like 2 songs on here, and I didn't include this one in here because while it's not my favorite, it still keeps up the energy of this album, something I thought Still Breathing didn't do. So I'll give it that regard, but otherwise, nothing special. Forever Now is track 11 on here, and Forever Now is just this massive banger. I love this song. This is the 9-minute long track. So much political commentary in here. Billy Joe just talking about how he's lost so much hope in the world. And it almost has a refrain in the second half that almost sounds like the refrain of Homecoming, where there's the snare, and they're singing "We're Coming Home" over this kind of like sing-songy pattern that goes on. But right before that happens in the song, around like the 4-minute mark, Billy Joe screams, "If this is the good life, then I want a better way to die." And I think that's a superb lyric off this album. I love that moment. Still gives me chills when I listen to it. Definitely a standout and one of my favorite tracks on here. And then we end with track 12. So when I saw them in concert, they closed with this song. This is Ordinary World. And it's very unique. So it's an acoustic song. There's no like switch up. Electric guitars don't come. It's just Billy Joe and his acoustic guitar going at it. And I love this song. You know, I love that it's placed at the end of this album to kind of cap all of this energy off with this nice, calm acoustic song. To really tie things together. Reminds me of course, Time of Your Life off of Nimrod. And I just think this is a solid song. So yeah, definitely ones to check out. All right, so let's get into this. So I did order this. I pre-ordered this off of Green Day's website. So I got the red vinyl. So others might have been black. I think there's another different colored pressing, but this is the one I got. Yeah, this cover art's pretty bad, but what are you gonna do? The actual music's good. That's all that matters. You got the burning radio on the front. On the back, they have this weird motif for the Bang Bang music video where they have these masks that are like gun robber masks. So them are there on the back with the burning radio. You got the tracks here that look like graffiti on the wall. It does come with an insert. It's them once again in the masks, and you have all the lyrics on the back here. That's awesome. Green Day always does that, and I really appreciate that because not a lot of people do anymore. And then we have in this black sleeve. Here's mine. There we go. There's side B, or side 2 as it's listed on here. And side 1, it's got that motif of the burning speaker for the label, and then it's got all the songs on here with the track times. That's kind of cool. I don't know how people do that. So yeah, this album, I'm not gonna lie, I was very scared for when it was when they said that they were gonna make this. 'Cause, Green Day took over the reins of producing this album again, of making this, but they took a gamble, and it's awesome. This is definitely their best album since American Idiot, and you need to go check this out, especially if you're a fan of records like Dookie and like Kerplunk. I think you're really gonna like this, and really the older Green Day sound that it brings back. And with that, I'm saying this is a solid 9 out of 10 for me, and definitely a recommendation if you're an alternative fan, a punk fan, a pop punk fan, or just a Green Day fan in general, man. Even if you like their hits, you're gonna like this album. This is a fantastic album. All right, thank you guys for making this all the way through the video. If you're here, I want to wish you a happy New Year's, and I hope you're having an amazing time whatever party you're going to tonight. And if you watch this tomorrow, then I hope 2017 is better than 2016. Technically, you could say you watched this video was made a year ago. I'll let myself out the door. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Until then, keep on spinning, guys.